All right, it is 1:01 for me, so about time to get started. Thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. My name is Johnny Freeman. I'm Pozotron's Customer Outreach Manager, and I'm joined by our wonderful CEO, Adam Fritz, as well. And today we are going to be talking about working with indie authors inside of Pozotron. So when you're working on an indie project and not with a publisher, a narrator is really a whole production studio in themselves. You're the prepper, the narrator, the proofer, the editor. You're the point of contact for the rights holder. So today I'm going to be walking through Positron Studio and highlighting the areas that you can bring in the author and collaborate with them to ensure the project gets off on the right foot and hopefully reduces the amount of revisions or back and forth later on in the project to make sure it goes smoothly from the start. So hopefully you learn some tips and tricks that you can bring in depending on, who your author is and how you want to involve them. Hopefully you learn something. So with that, the specific areas we're going to be looking at are setting up your project for success, how to invite your author and educate them on what Positron is and what's needed from them, then the script prep collaboration, post-production, and finally the final check. So as we go through this, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them right away. I can put them in the Q&A box, and me and Adam will keep an eye on that and answer your questions as they come up. We find that answering them live helps everybody attending, so don't be shy about your questions, but please, in the Q&A box, makes it easy for us to track them. All right, with that, we'll move right into it. So creating your project. If you've created a project in Positron before, it's really the same process. There's a couple things I wanted to call out at this stage, which can prevent any bumps in the road later on. And especially when working with an indie author, it's a good idea to confirm that the script you received is the final script, and they're not going to be making any more revisions to the book as you go through it. If it's not the final script, that's okay. We actually have a workflow for a prep script, so you can get started prepping right away. But if you don't know that it's not the final one, it could bite you later on once you've uploaded audio to the project. So confirm.
And
Oh, go
one
ahead.
thing to add there, if you do find that you are consistently or commonly forgetting what before you upload audio, forgetting to actually upload the final script or ensure that, we can toggle on a way where it will prompt you before you upload audio. Are you sure this is the final script? Because we do provide refunds for mistakes within reason. So if we have someone who's consistently doing this, we'll start saying, look, unfortunately, that's a cost. We've incurred the cost for processing that audio. So if you do want that prompt added to your account, you can let us know. And if we have people who continually make the mistake, we actually just add that prompt to their account for them.
Yep, it's nice to have a double check right before you upload audio. That's really the turning point, whether you should be using a prep or final script. So let us know if you'd like to turn that on. And later on, I'll show you where to change out your prep script with the final script and all of that as well. Another good thing to confirm is if there are notes in the script, if there's strike throughs, if they left comments for you, like, hey, don't read any of the URLs in here, but those notes are actually in the script, that can mess up some things in Positron. So it's a good thing to notice right away. And I do have an example that I put together. Something like this, if they have notes in the PDF and they have strike throughs and you notice there's comments, just let us know because we do have options that can take those notes into account, ignore the right things, and make Positron understand your script a lot better. So let us
Rob,
know if you see
Rob,
any of that.
thank you for the note. Yes, there is indeed a typo on here, the wrong version of there, but that's okay. We'll penalize Johnny over there.
Oh gosh. Well, that's embarrassing. Thanks for pointing it out, Rob. We appreciate it. No, just joking. Where is it? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, good. So yeah, let us know if you see any of that. Also, if you open up the script and if there's any just weird formatting, because an indie author might not know the process or what kind of scripts are generally accepted, there's a weird font and lots of images or it's split into double pages or columns. Just take a look at it. You'll notice in your read through. But if there's any of that going on, let us know because that can cause problems later on. And we want to make sure your project is set up for success. So another thing, let me pull up Pozotron here. So creating your project, it's the same as usual. You'll upload your script here, give it a title, and adjust the settings as needed. I'd also recommend organizing your projects. You can see here I've got a ton of different demo projects. This can get kind of messy and make it difficult to find your projects. So there is a new feature in our new UI. You can just select these projects, and I'm going to move these. I'm just going to clean up my projects page and move these into a folder here. So you just select them, hit the move button, and then you're also able to add a new folder and move them into it. Really easy, but it does, keeping it clean, keeping it organized just makes the process a lot easier. So I definitely recommend implementing those as well. So once the project is created, you'll see it in your projects page. And to invite your author, it's really straightforward. In every project, there's a blue share button up at the top right corner. And here you can enter the author's email address and give them a role. Now, one thing that is very important is these roles determine what the author or what the collaborator is able to change in your project. If you invite them, no matter what role it is, they'll be able to see everything in your project. And I bring this up because you might want the author to help you with script prep, but you don't want them to see your unfinished audio files, that are being proofed and edited because they might not be familiar with the whole process. And if you don't want them to see your unfinished files, it's something to keep in mind that they will have access to everything in the project. Excuse me. So a couple of things I recommend for that. You can always revoke access. So at a certain point, once you've gotten the collaboration part done with your author, let me just add Adam in here as an example. I have a tickle in my throat, so sorry about that. I'm going to add him as a researcher. So the researcher, so all of these different roles here. I'm sorry, I need a drink of water. Well, give me 1 second.
No problem. I can, yeah. So, and if you have any questions about what each of these roles do, you can use the little question mark icon up there at the top, and that'll take you to a support page to explain each of those.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. And there's also a particular article that is brand new that I'll show you in a second. It'll explain these different roles, but it also includes a template to send to your author to inform them what Positron is, and get them on the same page of why they're using Positron and kind of help them understand what you're inviting them to. Because I do recommend here that you inform them of Positron before inviting them, just so they know what they're getting. Most people shouldn't open links that they weren't expecting, so it's good to inform them of Positron first. Once you hit done here, they'll get an email inviting them to the project. So back on my earlier point of revoking their access, once they are added to the project, you're able to remove them, as well as you can set an expiration date for their access. So if you want them to only have access up until a particular point, you can set it for any date in the future. After that point, they'll automatically be removed from the project and they won't be able to access anything you don't want them to. So once they're invited, oh, and I'm going to bring up this article here. If you do want to link to this, this is really, really helpful. It's an article on how to share a project with an indie author. It'll kind of let you know how to share them, understand the permissions of, what each role will do and what they'll be able to access.
We do have a quick
Um,
question. Emma said, do they get notified when they are removed? No, they do not. They just lose access to the project.
Exactly. Great question. Yeah, they won't get an email or anything. But if they try to log in, it will say you don't have the correct permissions anymore. But here's a template, so that you can send to them. You can use this and edit it as you see fit. But it does give them some good information of what we use Positron for, why it's needed, and also assures them on the security and privacy of their manuscript and explains kind of how Positron uses that information. So feel free to use this when educating them on Positron. Yeah, and that's it. There is another method if you want them to have access to the prep tools and not access to your proofing files. You can actually create two separate projects and just invite them to the prep version, but it's up to you there. Okay, into the good stuff. So once you have invited them, and the reason why you would want to invite them to your project is there's some collaboration features that can help you clarify things like pronunciations and character voices. So I'm going to start with the pronunciation guide here. And if you're unfamiliar what this tool does, essentially Positron will scan your script when you upload it and put together a list of all of the difficult to pronounce words that Positron found in your manuscript. So it's going to find all of the capitalized rare words, complex words, and foreign words. So if they have a made up alien language in their sci-fi book, it should pull those words or anything like that. It'll put it all onto the list here. And to research them, you select your dictionary that you want to use with this button here. And then you can go ahead and add words to your research list. Positron will pull that pronunciation
algorithm,
and the phonetic spelling and save it to the project. Now, the reason why you might want to invite your author here is for those made up words, for difficult words, you can have them come in here and actually view these entries and either approve the pronunciations or record them themselves in your project. So you have it straight from the author how to say these words. So I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of words here. We do have some hotkeys that'll help you do it faster. So the R key will add a word to your research list. I will ignore. And then there's a few new ones of showing the context of the word, undoing a last action, and then ignoring a word permanently in all projects. So I'm just going to go through here and add a bunch of words. So this can be really helpful for creating your word list. I'm going to ignore that. And I'm trying to find some that have no phonetics here, because these will be the words that you probably need assistance with from the author. And I just pressed R a bunch and added all of these words. So from the pronunciations page, you'll probably have a lot of words on your list. I'd recommend using these filters over on the right-hand side. If you go to click this pronunciation button here, I can filter this to only show me the incomplete or empty words. So if I go to only empty, I now get a list of everything that Positron wasn't able to find. And this is a great starting point for sharing the correct words with your author. If I need their input on any of these, I can select the words that I want their help with. One at a time, I can choose these, or I can select this button to select all. And then over on the right-hand side here, there's an Assign User button. So since I've added Adam to my project, you'll see he appears at the bottom here. So I can choose Adam and hit Save. So all of these words have been assigned to Adam now. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because when the author logs in, there might be a ton of words. It might be a little overwhelming for them to find the correct words that they need to help you with. But now when Adam logs in, he can go to this filter as well and choose Assigned to Me. Now I haven't assigned any words to myself, but when Adam goes in and he selects this field here, he'll see all of those words.
What's the name of that project, Johnny? I can assign you a word right now.
Oh, demo project July in parentheses.
Very creative. Like,
Yeah. I could also assign ones to myself here. So if I wanted to, I'll just assign this to webinars@pozotron.com. And now when I go to assign to meet, we'll see I only see this word. So this will filter the list and make it really easy for them to see what they need to help you with. Now, the first thing they'll want to do, and it really depends if they want, they can come into Pozotron and click this little microphone button here, and they can just record the word for you. So they can record the pronunciation, they can enter a phonetic spelling or any notes on it. So this is a really great workflow for them to see what they need to add right away. And I'm pulling this up to see the other things I wanted to show you. So another aspect of collaboration on these words, if there's any confusion or if you need to discuss something with them, you can leave comments. So on any of these words, you can ask questions and you can actually have a dialogue about a particular entry in here. And yeah, and hopefully find the correct pronunciation for words. Now, that is one workflow of adding them to the project so they can come in and actually add the words, add the pronunciations for you. If you don't want to share the project with them, or if they're not willing to, work inside of Pozotron, I wanted to show you a couple of features here for sharing this information with them and for importing any information they share with you. So the first thing is sometimes they will give you a word list, and that's really helpful if they do. You can then import the entire list to Positron a couple of different ways. Oh, it looks like we have a question from John. Can you build your own dictionary in this way? Yes, exactly. That's kind of the point. Each project can technically be its own dictionary. So all of these words in here will get saved to the project. And if they come up in a different project later on, it will use any information from a previous project in the new one. So you don't have to research things twice. You can also save these words to your account dictionary. So hitting this plus button here will save the word, and it won't be saved in a particular project. It'll be saved in your account. So you can build your own dictionary that way. But great question. Thanks. Now, if they do give you a word list, so you can import the list here. They send you a bunch of words. Just copy and paste them in here, one word per line. I'm just thinking of random words here, and hit save. This will, oh, and I've got my filter set up. This will add them all right away. It's a very quick import. It will research them in the dictionary though. So if they've sent you MP3s or sent you recordings of how to say these words, on any of these entries, you can click the microphone button. I showed you could record, but you can also upload a clip to this audio. So if they send you audio files, you can save them in Positron. That way, the final thing on importing is import phonetic audio recordings. So sometimes an author will send you, 50 different MP3s, which is helpful. However, having them saved in a folder with just MP3s isn't the most accessible. So this feature allows you to drag and drop all of your MP3s or M4As, any format will work. Drop it in here. And as long as the files match the entry in your pronunciation guide, so for example, antipathies, the file would have to be called antipathies.mp3 or whatever file format, and then it will automatically update all of your entries in one import.
Question from John Hopkinson. If they've given me a spreadsheet or CSV, I'm assuming, can I import that? Yes, absolutely. It needs to be in this Excel format though. So, excuse me, so you can download by clicking here. That will download the actual template, and as long as they send you that, you can import directly into there. So if you add in name or the actual phonetic pronunciations in that column, it'll actually import and apply those to what was given to you in Pozotron. Or
Mm-hmm.
what was given to you by the user, I should say, sorry.
Exactly. Yep. Just fill in the word category with the actual words. You can fill in anything else if you want. The audio, I don't believe imports from Excel.
Not currently, that is in the plans eventually, but
Yep. So if you imported from Excel and they also included, audio recordings, you can then use the import phonetic audio recordings to then fully import that list of words. So thanks for the question. That's great. All right, let's see. So that's pretty, oh, I didn't show you the online packets. So these are really important if you don't want to give the author access to your project, but you still want to collaborate with them and confirm that you've got the right pronunciations or character voices, which I'll show you later. You can share an online packet. And this is a read-only version of your prep tools. Just copy this link, open a new tab, paste it in there, and you'll see you're brought to mirror image of your pronunciation guide, but there's nothing that they can change here. They can't get rid of your recordings or do anything, but they can listen to the audio here. And even if you needed help with some words, but you still didn't want to share the project with them, they can sort this by incomplete first. And you'll still see a list of all of the words that you don't have audio for that they can then potentially help you with and send you MP3s for these pronunciations. Lastly, to talk about prep scripts and final scripts, if you are beginning your prep on a prep script, all of that you've added all these words, and then you get another script from the author. This is the final script. Just make sure that you've cleared out the suggestions list here. Once you've added all the words you want to research and ignored the rest, when this is empty, you can go to the proofing tab here. And oh, I actually can't change the manuscript because I have audio in here. But there'll be a button essentially where this pencil icon is with a little page to change the manuscript. And it'll reprocess it. And if there's any new suggestions or any new words, the suggestions list will repopulate with the final script, ignoring anything you've already added or it's already suggested previously. So that can be really helpful for the prep script.
And just to be super clear, that I know Johnny just said it, for that feature to work to just show you the new entries, you have to have completely cleared your suggestions list before you upload the new final script.
Yep, just make sure that's cleared out. Okay, moving on. So another area that you might need that's a great idea to collaborate with the indie on is the character voices. Getting them on board early in the process can definitely make the whole process run smoother, the whole project run smoother. And there's a couple ways you can do that in Pozotron. So I'm going to go to the character guide here. The character guide, if you don't know what it does, works very similarly to the pronunciation guide where it scans your manuscript. It's going to try and find all the different characters in your book. Hovering over them, you can see instances of where this character exists. You can click the count button, which is a great feature to see every single occurrence of this character throughout the entire book and get a snapshot of who they are and how you want to perform them. And then if there's anybody I want to create a voice for and track, I can click add to character guide. I'm going to add Sherlock here. And let me add someone I know is going to be empty. I'll add Piper as well. So the character guide gives you an area to enter character descriptions, character voice notes. So this can be their relationships, their appearance, everything like that. And this is what they're supposed to sound like. Then you can also record voice samples. Now, you can enlist the author's help in this part. If they have a particular way they want the characters portrayed, they can add their own characters to this list and then give you their descriptions, give you their voice notes. Or if you create this list, you can share it with them. They can come in and confirm or approve the character voices that you've developed. They can also listen to the voice samples. It's really great to get them approved first so that you don't record 10 hours of the book and then they say they don't like a particular voice.
There's a
Um,
couple of things they could come in and either use the threaded comments to add in, either comments about what you've done or, put in a YouTube clip of some, this feature actually came up because one user was told by an author for the main character, all I want you to do is sound like Matthew McConaughey. That's all I want. The intonation and voice, that's all I want. So, it could be as simple as they could upload a photo of Matthew McConaughey and say,
yep.
with an arrow pointing to the left. So the idea with either with threaded comments or if you click on the microphone on the right side, the purple microphone, they could actually upload an audio file as well.
Yep,
So
they can
say
upload
it's
audio
another,
files.
exactly, yeah.
They can also even record, if they don't want to type it out, they can record a note for you and be like, hey, when I designed this character, I thought of this, and they would be like that or whatever. They can put this information in here. So there's a lot of ways you can use it with the author, but the important thing is that, yeah, you're on the same page and the characters are being presented how the author intended. So the same export and import options exist for the character guide that I showed you in the pronunciation guide. You can send them an online packet if you don't want them to have access to the project. You can import a list, you can export to Excel or export to a little packet. You can also import the voice samples in the same way. It just has to match the name of the character. But yeah, the idea is just to give you an area to collaborate with the author here. Now, proofing I have on here, the first thing is optional to remove the author's access at this point. So if you don't want them to access the files, and if you wouldn't mind, put it in the chat if this is a big deal for you, if you absolutely never want the author to have access to this, would be interested to hear what you have to say on that. But in the proofing area, there is still points of collaboration that you can use. The first thing I'll show you though is script sync. Because after you've gone through all this hard work of working with the author to fill out your pronunciation and character sheet, oh, it looks like we have a question. Is there a way to know which voices an author has approved? That's a good question. There isn't really an approve button in Pozotron, but they could leave a comment for you here saying, I like this, or, great job, or keep doing that. I'd probably say direct them to the comments here, and I think if they were disapproving of a voice, they'd probably tell you as well. So you'll find out, I think, from them on that. But that's a good question. Maybe there should be a approve button or something like that.
We have thought about something like that. It's kind of difficult. We'll probably put that through. We'll probably replicate eventually some of the features we have in the pickup recording tool for approvals
Hmm.
and feedback and that kind of stuff. But for right now, what I'd say is they could use the threaded comments there.
Yep, it's probably the best place so you can see what they said. But great question. Thank you. Okay, going to proofing. So let me actually make sure. Yep. Okay, good. I've got Sherlock in there with some voice samples. But once you go into a proofing tab here, oh, it looks like Emma put in the chat. I don't want authors to see how many mistakes are made and then be hyper focused on listening to those lines. They know we make mistakes, but I don't want them focusing on that. And that's a good point. The author might not be familiar as well with what the narration process looks like and how many, you know, things you have to smooth over to get a finished product. So that's why we've stressed that today. So once you upload these proofing files, even if they have the permission set to researcher or viewer, they will be able to select this open proofing button and listen to your audio. So if you don't want that there, I'll stress again just to remove their access using the share button and kick them out. Jen says she doesn't want them to see how the sausage gets made. I agree. That's absolutely reasonable. All right, so in proofing, one thing I wanted to highlight here is the script sync functionality. So since you've worked so hard on the pronunciations and character voices and you've gotten all the collaboration in there, when you're proofing, you can access this information easily with this turned on. So if you highlight characters and pronunciations, when you click on a character, you will see the notes in the character guide on how they should be performed. You'll also see the voice recordings here that you can listen to. So I could listen to this line of dialogue by Sherlock.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
And to make sure that the right character voice is used, I can then click Sherlock and hit play. And I don't know what's recorded here, so be warned. Hello, Watson, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's me. You could confirm that that line was following the direction of the character guide as well. And same with pronunciations. This is obviously a very simple word, but any difficult words will be highlighted. You can listen to what the narrator said or what you said,
Breakfast table.
and then listen to the recording.
Table.
So did a pretty good job there saying table. But a great feature that makes sure your prep does not go to waste in the proofing area. Couple other things, the typo report and sharing specific annotations with the author. There might be a situation where you do want feedback on a particular section of your performance. And if you wanted the author's feedback, it's really easy to either, you can click and highlight a section. Like let's say I wanted them to, this is a dramatic scene. I want them to, feel happy with this performance. You can click and highlight that and download a clip that you can then send to them. It'll just send them this portion of the audio, or you can actually mark this as a pickup and use the client QC tag here. So anything you tag with the client QC tag, this will be, you can then generate a specific report of all the areas that you want them to look at.
And I've actually just added at author, Johnny, so
Oh, perfect.
you can use that now.
That's a
Um,
great idea. Let's prove it.
ev- Eventually we are, you may have to refresh the page.
No,
Oh
it's
no.
there. Look at that.
One thing we are looking to add eventually the ability to both assign individual annotations to people. So you could go in and assign an annotation for review and then also add threaded comments likely on annotations as well. That's a
Mhm.
little ways away. But yeah, the idea is if there are things that you're not sure of, you could actually assign it to someone. They could come in and filter it by just assign to me.
Exactly. Same with the pronunciation guide. That assigned to me feature would be available here.
Question from Jen. How much does Positron learn accents? For example, the difference between American and British pronunciation of schedule versus schedule. So all of our English audio is in one data set. The vast majority of it, I don't know a percentage, is in a standard North American, usually American. So there's some words that I would say as a Canadian that would differ, but for the most part, it is the vast majority of our data set in English is North American pronunciation. So the more heavily accented English you have that differs from standard American pronunciations, you will get more false annotations. So schedule, for example, things like that, you will get more false annotation. Doesn't mean it will miss mistakes, but it just means the more your audio accent, the accent or the voice in your audio differs from a standard American pronunciation, um, the more annotations, false annotations or additional suggestions you're going to get.
Yeah, and to add on to that, it's mostly only in the pronunciation category there. You're not going to get more false positives of missing words, added words, or anything like that. And to deal with that, if you do have an accent and you've noticed it flagging a lot of stuff when you're creating a project, I'll show you that quickly. We'll talk about these sensitivity settings a lot. You can move this to relaxed, and this will lower the amount of false flags you get. Relaxed is still extremely accurate. It's not going to miss a missing word or added word or anything like that, but it will give you less flags on schedule versus schedule, that sort of thing.
Agreed. And the other thing I would say is the next question we get is, well, why don't you just create a different data set for different pronunciations? Well, I have Scottish family, for example, and I have friends who live in London. If we did a British data set, those two are so wildly different. It become where you mark that delineation between different accents really makes it quite difficult. So it is something we're working on. We're not just, resting on our laurels and saying it is what it is, but it's a very difficult technical problem to solve.
Yep, agreed. And a great suggestion from the chat, the filter out button. That's exactly what that's there for as well. So this in combination with the relaxed proofing sensitivity should help. But thank you, Adam, for the live edition of the author tag. That's excellent. So now I can select any sections here, any annotations here, and I can mark these. Just type author, hit enter, hit save. Now I could do this throughout the whole project. And when I export a report, I'm going to go to pickup packet here. I can customize my report to only include the author tag here. So now when I hit export, I'll get a pickup report, but it'll only be the ones that I wanted the author to take a look at. And it includes the original audio here, it includes the text, and it will include any note that you put in here. So you could ask them a question like, hey, I said this sentence instead of this sentence because there was a grammatical error. Is that okay? Or something like that. You can communicate all of this with the author right there. The other pretty much, I think the only other time you'd really want them to access, the only other thing you'd want to collaborate with them on in the proofing tool, unless they're proofing the audio themselves, is this typo button here. So if you find typos throughout the book as you narrate them, mark them as typos in the proofing section. I'm just going to mark a bunch right here. And you can send them an automatic report, and it'd be really helpful for them to know so they can update their ebook version. If they've already printed it, then is what it is, but they can update their ebook versions with corrected typos. You just go to proofing report here and export this. And if I open that up, you'll see it does have separate tags here, but there is always another sheet, which is the typo report in the proofing report. So it won't be visible in here. So if this is blank, don't worry. Just click typo report right there. You'll be able to see all of the different typos. So typo found by narrator should be that instead of there, or whatever the typo is will be automatically included. And yeah, the author might really appreciate seeing something like that. It's going a little extra for them. Adam, the typo report is changing soon, correct? Or there will be another button for it. Is that true? Or you're muted?
Almost. I had a perfect thing going. Very soon you'll be able to, when import export, you'll see a typo report, which will just be the exact same report with only the typo tab in Excel, but just to make it a little clearer for people.
Yep.
The proofing report will still stay exactly the same. It's just an additional button that'll just export the typo page.
Yep. Just to make it clear, if you forget where it is, we're adding an option there. Great. Well, if no questions on that, we'll move forward to the final check. So again, you're kind of a one-person studio when you're a narrator working with an indie. Falls on you to do all the editing and, in this case, mastering as well. So we have a tool that should make this a lot easier for you to check if your files are up to par with distributor specifications. So I'll open this up for you. This is a great tool. It's listed right here, the audio analysis tool. And in here, you upload your mastered audio files. I did not master these. These are the same files that I have in here. So they probably won't do very well, but I'll select whatever preset I want to use. So we've got some standard ones in here like ACX and Spotify. You can also add your own if there is a reason that you want to add your own specifications here. Just put in the details and then you'll be able to select that preset. With that selected, I'll hit Show Analysis. And it'll tell me which of my files passed or failed. I can see only one of them passed, so I'm going to open this one up with this little arrow right here. And here I can view all of the details of what went wrong with this file. It looks at file duration, sample rate, sample peak, RMS, noise floor, top and tail duration, duplicates. Oh, it checks for duplicates. Yep. File format, audio channel, bitrate, all of this stuff. So anything that could go wrong, it'll give you the expected value. So what you should be getting when checking RMS, for example, and what the actual value is. So this can help you pinpoint what to fix with your files before you upload. And we're getting pretty close to the end here. So if there are any additional questions or anything else you'd like to see, let us know. But the last thing I wanted to show you is for future projects. So if you work with an indie and it goes well, they might book you for a series, and all of the research that you've gained with them, you can actually save this to your account and transfer the research between projects. Really, really helpful if you're working on a series or working in the same universe. They might have multiple books in the same universe. And so let me pull this up. And while I'm pulling this up, question from Scott: is there an additional charge for uploading final files for audio analysis? Currently, not at all. You can upload as many files as you want in here, and this is completely free of charge. So just drag and drop them in there. But yeah.
Eventually, we will be putting it behind a pricing model, but it'll be very significantly cheaper than all of our other tools because it's pretty basic.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we have a big message in chat. Maybe there's a question in there.
I just completed a pickup file where one wrong word was pronounced wrongly by the narrator. Pozotron didn't notice the mistake. To find an example of every mispronounced word. So James, we have a tool exactly for this, scan occurrences, Johnny. So where there's one word mispronounced consistently.
Hmm. Yeah, and this may happen even if you do work with the author. There could be a word like neither, and the author expected you to say neither throughout the whole time. You didn't talk about that. But anyway, you need to find every instance of a word that you said in the audio. This is like Control F, but for your audio files. So any word on your pronunciation guide will automatically be on here. You can also add any word you'd like. I'm just going to add positron here. And it will instantly scan and tell you how many times it found it. Then if I want to check each of these occurrences, I can hit this blue scan button here.
Version 2.
It will begin to play the audio automatically, and it's going to play the occurrence of positron, split them out into clips, and I'm going to play them back to back so I can listen to each occurrence.
Pozotron Studio is since Pozotron is more accurate.
So provides a very quick way to double check every pronunciation. And if there's anything wrong with these, I can select the ones that were pronounced incorrectly, or I can select all of them, and I can export this straight to the digital audio workstation that I'm working with. So I can choose any one of those and then import it into my session to find and replace all of these issues. Or I can just mark it as a pickup or annotate them with that annotate button. So James, that's exactly what this tool is for. Yeah, hopefully it helps you out. And Jen, it looks like you just had that happen as well. So that's it's a big pain. So that's what this tool is here for. It's a kind of a project saver. So yeah, feel free to use it as much as you need. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you before I let you go to enjoy the rest of your Thursday is saving these words to your account and also using them in different projects. So I've got a whole list of words here. Let's say this is a book in a fantasy world and I just have all this elvish language saved to this project. That would be difficult to research. So what I'm going to do is go to import export here, and I can click this transfer all words to the PD. And the PD means pronunciation dictionary. This is your account dictionary. So it's similar to the pronunciation guide, but it doesn't belong to any particular project. It's just in your profile here. So if I click pronunciation dictionary, you'll see I've got a bunch of words in here, and in my character guide, got characters in here as well. So you can save all of your characters to your account and have a list of every character voice that you've developed right here with all their details, their voice notes, their photos, and all of that. And this is really helpful because let's say I'm going to do the Jungle Book 2. I can upload that project to Pozotron. Let me go into a project here. Create a new project, Jungle Book 2, and then from there, when I go to my pronunciation guide, I can transfer or add all words from the pronunciation dictionary to this project. So it would pull all of those words, pop them in this project. Granted, this is all words in your pronunciation dictionary. So you can also use our transfer research button. And this is a little more specific to each project. I can put the words in this project into any other project I want with this transfer research project. It will automatically ignore any words that don't reappear in the new book, but keep all the words that do. So you'll have a really good starting place there. And same with character guides, just keeping an active list of all the voices you've done that you can reference at a later time whenever you want. Just click this plus button right here to add a character to your account dictionary or for characters. And well, Adam, anything else to add on working with indies in Positron?
No, I would say the one thing that we'd like to leave everyone with is, and there was a very good example of this where Emma had said, I don't want authors to see my proofing, and then another Jen said, I would like to see the author to see it, is we've designed everything with what we call Swiss Army knife development in mind. So our goal is that Positron can fit whatever your workflow. So if you want the author to help you with proofing, great. If you don't want the author to help you with proofing, great. There are ways to make that work. So if you have questions about how Positron specifically applies to your workflow, please shoot us an email. Happy to jump on a call or send you some screen share videos to show you exactly how our tools will best fit what you're looking to do.
Yep, exactly. So this was a little bit of a shotgun showing you all the things you can do with Pozotron, and hopefully you can use some of these or all of these with your projects going forward when working with an indie. But any suggestions, questions, anything like that, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. Another question from Scott. Is there a way for authors to hear final files? Yes, they could actually download it from Audio Analysis. Is that correct? Could they? No, I don't think they could actually.
I don't think you can. We are eventually likely moving to a way where you can actually basically use Positron as your storage, so you can upload all of your different, raw version 1 mastered files and allow uploads and downloads from there. But we have quite a bit of optimizing to do because currently you have to download them file by file. So that is something we're working on. We're not there yet.
Yeah, so I guess for now, yeah, just have to send them outside of Positron. They would be able to access these files, but these are unfinished. So yeah, it's a good question. Thanks, Scott. And James, Trina, you're very welcome. Thank you. Hopefully you learned something today, but that is all we had planned. So if there's anything else we can help with, as always, don't hesitate to reach out. Always happy to connect.
Agreed. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.